different.
Ladies and gentlemen, we're back. At this point, we have a final 15, 20 minutes. Let's talk about the indifference of the reality of what's going on. You have a Christian country, you have a Catholic, devout Catholic people, and yet the volume of people are relatively poor, if not the very poor. It was mentioned during the Pope's visit. Now 40% of 35% was presented to the Pope. Now this is how many are really dirt poor. Let's talk about the indifference that seems to take place. You were saying during the break, Rick, how can these people, nakatira ka sa tabi ng kanal, nakatira ka sa mga kung saan-saan masama, sa harap ng pier, di ba? Yung high density of poverty that live side by side there. How come they don't get together and say, tama na, we want housing from the government. We want this from the government. How come the people don't stand up and say this? Tayo, for example. I mean, pagbabayad na naman tayo ng more tax. Alam mo, ang dami talaga natin tax kung tutusin natin compared to our neighbors. How come we don't stand up and say, hey, you guys, ilan lang tayo that come on TV and say this? How come people don't stand up and say, enough is enough, stop bullshitting us, and stop stealing from us?
Well, basically, what has happened is that there is a dichotomy between Christianity and citizenship. Being a good Christian, okay, has been compartmentalized.
Careful, you're talking about us.
Compartmentalized from what is a good citizen. That's why I have said before, I have written a paper, that you cannot be a good Christian if you are not a good citizen. Because as a citizen, you have your duty and responsibility to do what is right. And part of that, and no less than the Pope last year, and together with Cardinal Vidal afterwards, says that the people have to get involved with government, with politics. The people cannot be indifferent. But that's what's happening. Whether we go to church on Sunday, whether we go to visit the Pope, then afterwards, do we really get concerned with what's happening? There's just so much indifference in this country. And I think that is something now that can be corrected with the message of the Pope when he said about ending corruption, about the scandalous social inequities. So I think now, I believe that the Filipino people and the clergy will now be moved to do something about it, because no less than the Pope has said it.
So we're looking at, for example, the Forbes billionaires, dollar billionaires, who are allowed to multiply their monies tenfold, 20-fold. I mean, it's their fault. Because those guys, most of them are Catholic. Mm-hmm. Most of those dollar billionaires. And they're multiplying their billions because they're getting all the juicy contracts given by the Yellow Army. Diba? So, it's their fault. Can we say that? Is it the fault of the businessmen in Makati, the capitalists that generate employees, for example, that generate work? I mean, is it our fault? Are we the problem? Is the Pope not reaching to us, the teachings to teach us to address inequality? Is it our role or is it not government's role? Because we generate employment, we pay our taxes, whether we like it or not. Just on the VAT alone, it's an automatic it's an automatic appraisal, diba? And collection. Together with every license to operate, diba, in local government, ang dami niyang lisensya na yan, from fire to everything, operating permits, and we are taxed non-stop. But the services are supposed to help the marginalized and those that require more jobs. Di ba tama?
Yeah.
Instead of that, we require, 200, 300 signatures to start the business in this country? Pahirapan, and yet the rich and the very rich only need to go inside the bank and without their signature can walk out and borrow millions, if not billions of pesos. And yet the local businessman is not allowed. I mean, this is the inequality we're talking about.
I think the other inequality there is in the budget itself, or in the money, the funds in the budget.
The discretionary funds, sinasabi mo.
Yes.
That should go to basic services for the poor. We're talking of housing, we're talking of health, of education. I mean, this money should be given to the poor, and yet what happens is that these monies are stolen.
Yun ang nagiging problema.
Yeah, like, I mean, for us, the most obvious is in public works and transportation.
Correct.
And like, for example, you see a perfectly good road,
Babasagin.
well, they call that reblocking, or if they will not destroy it, what they will do is they will put an asphalt overlay of 2 inches. But what is worse than that is they are not contented because of their unbridled greed, is they will put a double asphalt overlay. So what has happened now, if you look at the streets here in Manila or in Makati, even in Pasay Road,
Tumataas
the
yung kalye.
pavement now is even higher than the sidewalk.
Baliktad. Oh, it's true. The street's higher than the sidewalk.
Yeah. So what I'm saying now is that there's so much money that can be given for the poor. For example, just 1 million pesos is good enough to give 10 houses for the poor. Okay?
At 100K each.
Okay. At 1 billion, that's 10,000.
10,000.
10,000, if you're looking at a family with 5 members, you're looking at 50,000. 50,000 is a lot.
Bakit sa
That's
Yolanda,
only 1 billion.
Bakit sa Yolanda, pinag-uusapan natin doon, di ba, 200 billion? Wala naman ako nakikitang bahay, kundi maninipis na cardboard na parang tinayo doon.
Actually, the government has admitted that they cannot trace the path of the money, especially donated money from abroad.
So nawala yung pera na mga dinonate sa atin.
Well, the president said it. He doesn't know where the money went. Could not account.
Let's talk about the projects, okay? For example, they built the bunk houses, okay? The bunk houses, okay, is supposed to cost about close to 1 million pesos each. And that's about 24 units of 8 square meters. This is the size of 2 ping pong tables, okay? Because of the severe criticism they received from us in the press, they finally stopped it after building 200 bunk houses, okay?
That's small.
Yeah, 200 bunk houses.
8 by 8.
Each bunk houses has 24 units, right? Of 8.64 square meters. Basically, the government spent 200 million of that. And then no less than DPWH Secretary Singson, in a Senate hearing sometime February last year, admitted in a Senate hearing that the materials they used were substandard.
I remember that. Nabasa natin yon.
And yet, at the same time, he would also say they are substandard, but they are not overpriced. And for me, that's the most stupid statement. I have been in construction before, okay? If you have a house that's built of substandard materials and you're paying X amount of money and you're not given the right materials, then that house is effectively overpriced.
Correct. That's one and the other.
Yeah. But Secretary Singson is saying the materials are substandard, but it's not overpriced.
Ikaw, attorney, you have presented facts and you have baffled, if not shaken up, the Supreme Court with your pleading.
With my theory
With
and
your
thesis.
theory and thesis. And so much so they've asked Congress to now answer it.
And the president to answer.
To answer. How is it? Why is it? Parang wala natatakot pa rin. Parang tuloy pa rin ang ligaya sa Kongreso, sa Senado.
Because
Tsaka, nakita naman natin yung Yellow Army, pahalik-halik. Hindi naman hinalikan yung singsing ni Pinoy, no? Arte lang yan, fake.
Yeah.
Hanggang doon lang, tas titigil. Sa bagay, pag hinalikin nyo, baka nasunog ang labi niya.
ang akin,
Baka umusok.
Baka umusok. Demonyo kasi, di ba? Baka.
my explanation is that for so many years, we have built an edifice, a fortress of corruption. It's not easy to demolish this. We are just demolishing some parts of
Chipping
it.
away,
Yes, chipping away little by little. So you cannot expect that you will be able to bring down the tower overnight. But we have started fighting this and doing the right
How
thing.
do we do that? How kaya can we succeed to get rid of the corrupt? As the Pope even said.
Well, the people has to regain the power that they have lost.
But the people have voted this guy to come on who has no real competence just because his mother passed on. I don't even understand that. Weren't we in blackout? Didn't we
In
have
the early
worst?
90s, yeah.
Yeah, in the
power
worst,
crisis, yeah.
The worst situations was during Cory's time. I don't understand this. Why the massa, the tyranny of the masses, all of a sudden, they revere to it as if it was the best decade we've had.
I
The best decade we've had, I hate to say it or not, was still Marcos' time. Right before he got sick.
Yes.
In the 70s.
I think the support has dwindled over the years. It's not exactly as solid as it was in 2010. It's way below 50% now. And I even question the figures of our survey firms. If his support is still within the 50% range, I doubt it.
So this guy at this point, naluloko lang tayo.
It's a deception.
Ng media.
It's a deception. It's a deception of survey firms, and I think that's not the real score.
I think one of the
Hindi naman siya
survey,
pinapakapan ng taong bayan, dumadaan ng presidente.
Pinasuot nga niya ng yellow shirts again, yung mga armies niya.
Hindi sinuot eh.
Hindi nga sinunod eh. In short, the silent majority is no longer his.
Hindi na kanya. Yes, Rick.
yeah, and again, speaking of surveys, I think one of the companies there is owned by his own cousin.
Yeah, Lopa.
Yeah.
Yeah, SWS. Alam naman natin yun noong pa.
No, it's the other one. False
Ibon.
Asia.
False Asia.
Yeah.
False Asia. False Asia. That's a new one.
No, but I can't understand how a conspiracy of a real minority called the Yellow Army can stay on top and continue to fool the people, not giving them... I can understand if they're giving alms to the poor and giving them... Di ba nababayaran sila? Hindi. It's continuous. Talagang there is poor services given to the people. We all know, because we feel it. Tayo, we feel it.
Yeah.
Considering we pay taxes, non-stop, high taxes, we are not getting the services. In basics lang, hindi natin makuha-kuha. Mas lalo na pa yung pobre.
Yeah.
And how they can continue to manipulate all of us. I mean, isn't it, it's mind-boggling already.
Well, I have talked to
The
different
latest,
people.
your expose.
Yeah. I think the people's attention is being diverted deliberately by government so that they will not be able to focus on these real issues and come out in the open and express themselves. This is one technique in politics.
So media's to blame.
Well, they allowed themselves to be used.
To the left, to the right. Click here, click there. And that's what everyone's doing, not wondering about what's reality.
But I think the people should, as I have said, should recover what they lost. Sovereignty resides in us. No government can be higher than
I
the people.
totally agree with you. Pero sino? Si Grace po?
In fact,
sino lalaban para sa taong bayan? Sino ang tunay na Pilipino
In
na
my
tatayo?
petition, I even said in clear language that the issues being presented here are of transcendental importance. This will transcend generations. Unless the court stops this government from doing all these scandalous things, this will perpetuate.
Continues, yes. It will
Continue. This will continue and destroy generations, one generation after another.
And you believe the Supreme Court will step up to the plate?
I think the Supreme Court has done that before the Pope arrived. On last Tuesday, the Supreme Court came up with an order.
So, ang ginagawa ng media, dina-downplay yan. Pataasin natin ang Pope, ang Papa. Tapos pataasin natin yung mga forevermore and whatnot. And divert the people's attention other than the real issues.
Correct.
So, in other words, the real leaders is Channel 2, Channel 7, Star Cinema.
The
diba? And
oligarchs,
actors.
the
But
monopolies are doing what government should not have been doing.
I have spoken to different people, different walks of life. Now, on its 5th year, it's very evident that this administration has already lost the support of the people. There are very few people that I talk to, and I'm talking to different people from security guards to waiters and different.
I hear that too.
Yeah.
But I don't understand why on TV and the newspapers they keep saying.
It's manipulated.
So it's not true.
It's not true.
Nagsisinungaling,
It's not
parang
true.
si Putin to si Noynoy, and then, pero ang totoo, wala talaga nakikinig na sa kanya. Wala na may gusto
Because
sa
he cannot
kanya.
even command anymore his Yellow Army. And that's the best evidence of his lack of support.
And you know, social media is a very important, indicator of the public pulse. Based on what I have seen,
Ako rin
there's
kung ano
really a
mabasa
lot
ko,
of
galit eh.
a lot of severe criticism.
Yes.
They're angry. There are very few people who are for this administration, and you can really see that they are delusional in what they're saying. Just like the president They just agree with whatever the press is saying and not even knowing, what the truth really is. Like, for example, they agree with the speech of President Aquino about many of the Catholic Church being silent under the past administration, which is not true.
It's not true. Gentlemen, we're already at the end of the show. We've already done overtime. A quick 5-second message.
Well, there's only 17 months and 4 weeks left, okay, and 2 weeks left of the Aquino administration, and I'm counting, and hopefully he can be removed even earlier from office. I don't think we can wait that long.
Attorney.
I challenge the people to rise their presence from their present state and recover what they have lost, because they are the ultimate authority in the state. Sovereignty resides in them. This is the right time. The Pope has already spoken, and he has given us clues on how to do it.
Ayan po, narinig na po natin. Kaya iboto natin sa 2016 si Cardinal Tagle. That's not a joke. Yes, it is. It's not a joke. Yes, it is. Maybe the joke's on us. Parang ganun ang lumalabas. Ladies and gentlemen, we hope you've enjoyed our program. The sarcasm, the innuendos are direct to the point. We don't hide under the Yellow Army. The Yellow Army is Noy Noy and his group. Come on, there's nothing to hide. There's nothing to parang blindside. No. In GNN and on this show, at least, it's straight to the point. Now, what you do with it is what is important. We hope you've enjoyed our program. Maraming salamat po. Thank you, Richard.
Thank you.
You are what you watch.